Last night I had a dream that scared me so much, I woke up in sweats, with a rapid heartbeat. Have you recently had a dream so vivid that for a moment you thought you were living it? Or perhaps you glanced at yourself in the mirror and thought, is that really me? Or have you been so tired that you felt like you don't exist? To some people, it may sound like a crackhead is speaking. But to others, this is a real question. What if I told you that your entire reality, everything you see, hear, and experience, might not be real? Since the beginning of my childhood, I have felt a strange pull towards this question. There have been so many moments in my life where reality has felt off. Maybe you've felt it too. It is true that this feeling, that reality isn't quite real, often visits people under the influence of mind-altering substances, but it is also common among people who are sleep-deprived or other altered states of consciousness, like during labor, high fever, people who are admitted in ICUs in hospitals. Such experiences are also narrated by mystics, and sometimes it reveals itself to those we might call the chosen ones, the rare few who, for reasons unknown, seem to peer behind the curtain of reality itself, sensing that the world they see in front of them isn't as real as it appears to other people. Moments like these are easy to dismiss. A trick of perception, perhaps? A glitch of the mind? Fatigue? Or something deeper? Let me ask you an unsettling question. What if these moments aren't products of fatigue or imagination, but moments when you are being awakened to notice that the reality you are experiencing might not actually be real? From ancient scriptures to science, this idea has been explored since the beginning of thought. The fact that you are here shows that you notice these subtle nudges to suspect reality, just like me. Philosophers and scientists have suggested theories supporting the idea that reality might not be real. Let's see what science has to say. The simulation argument says that our entire existence could be a highly sophisticated digital construct designed by an intelligence far beyond our understanding. If that sounds absurd, consider this. In the last few decades, we've built simulations so intricate that they blur the line between real and artificial. Virtual reality can already trick our senses, and artificial intelligence is rapidly approaching the point where digital beings could believe they're conscious. An interesting movie suggestion is RA.1. In the movie, RA.1 is the name of a VR game, and also the name of the character inside the game, who gains consciousness and makes efforts in order to step into the real world and get successful in doing so. In the film, RA.1 is designed with advanced artificial intelligence, but things take a dark turn when this digital entity escapes the game's boundaries and starts interacting with the physical world as if it's real. Philosopher Nick Bostrom suggested that if civilizations keep advancing technologically, they'll eventually have the power to create ultra-realistic simulations, so detailed that the simulated beings inside wouldn't even realize they're in a simulation. But the idea that reality might not be real is not rigidly confined to science, or the idea of a simulation per se. It speaks to something deeper, something that ancient thinkers have pondered for centuries. Buddhist teachings emphasize that reality isn't something out there, it's shaped by our perception. What we see as solid, stable, and real is simply our mind assigning meaning to our senses. This ties directly to the simulation theory's suggestion that our consciousness is just interpreting data. Plato once described the human condition as prisoners chained inside a cave, mistaking shadows on the wall for reality. The best example that still remains is how dreams can feel real, vivid, immersive, yet entirely fabricated. In a dream, you never question the logic of the world you're in. The impossible seems reasonable because your mind doesn't bother to ask, is this real? The Buddha compared the world to a dream, a mirage, or a magic trick, something that appears real but vanishes upon deeper inspection. This doesn't mean the world doesn't exist, it means the way we perceive it is misleading. The thing that backs the simulation hypothesis is that physicists have explored anomalies in our universe that eerily resemble glitches in a simulation. Quantum mechanics, for example, suggests that particles exist in a state of probability until observed, almost like pixels in a video game that only render when you look at them. The Planck scale is like the zoom limit in our universe. If we go any smaller, space and time might not work the way we expect. Some researchers even propose that the universe might be pixelated at the Planck scale. Think of it as the pixel size of the universe. If you try to zoom in smaller than this, reality starts to behave in ways we can't currently explain. Think about this. Your brain doesn't experience reality directly, it relies entirely on electrical signals. Everything you see, hear, and feel is simply data interpreted by your mind. How do you know that data is accurate? What if your brain is just painting a convincing picture? René Descartes doubted everything, questioning whether an evil demon might be deceiving him, weaving an entire false reality around his mind. Paranoid much? David Hume took this further and argued that we can never really know if an external reality exists at all. He believed that all we have are impressions, raw sensory data, and ideas, weaker copies of these impressions. But there's no way to prove that what we experience reflects an external world. He was especially skeptical of cause and effect. We assume the sun will rise because it always has, but that's just habit, not certainty. Immanuel Kant's theory of transcendental idealism suggests that our experience of reality is not a direct reflection of the world itself, but rather a structured interpretation shaped by our minds. There are two layers to reality: the noumenal world, the world as it truly is, independent of our perception, and the phenomenal world, the world as we perceive it. The key idea is that we can never access the noumenal world directly. Instead, what we experience is filtered and organized by the mind through built-in frameworks like space, time, and causality. This connects to the Buddhist idea that whatever is reality to us is just a play of the senses. Long before the simulation theory, ancient Indian philosophy spoke about a similar idea, Maya. According to Advaita Vedanta, the world we experience is an illusion, a veil that hides the ultimate truth. In this view, everything we perceive is just a temporary appearance, while the only real thing is Brahman, the infinite, eternal consciousness that underlies everything. They say that once you pierce through Maya through enlightenment or liberation, you find Brahman, the ultimate reality, infinite and formless. The unsettling part is how much this aligns with modern science. The observer effect suggests that reality doesn't exist in a definite state until it is observed. This is proven by the double-slit experiment. In this experiment, scientists fire tiny particles, like electrons or photons, toward a barrier with two small slits in it. When no one is watching which slit the particles pass through, they behave like waves, creating a pattern of multiple bands on a screen behind the slits, as if the particles are interfering with each other like ripples on water. But when scientists place a detector to observe which slit each particle goes through, the particles stop behaving like waves and act like solid objects instead, forming just two bands on the screen. It's as if the electrons knew they were being watched and changed their behavior accordingly. This baffling result suggests that particles can behave like waves until they're observed, almost as if reality itself doesn't settle on one form until someone's watching. This eerie behavior aligns with the idea that reality isn't fully formed until it's perceived, just like how a video game renders certain scenes or objects only when the player is looking in that direction. Simulation theory suggests our reality might function similarly. What if the world around us only loads in detail when we pay attention to it? The observer effect hints that consciousness might play a fundamental role in shaping what we perceive as solid, stable reality, almost as if we're participants in a programmed simulation where things exist only when they need to. This also raises the question, if nothing is being observed, does it even exist? Are we characters in a narrative, programmed to follow patterns? Our consciousness merely a script running in some cosmic simulation? Some thinkers propose that our consciousness is the player in this simulation. What if this supposed independent and free-willed consciousness is actually being controlled by a programmed interface? In Hindu philosophy, Leela refers to the universe as divine play. Everything we experience is part of a cosmic performance, drama, if you will, where the distinction between reality and illusion is ultimately meaningless. Well, plays and dramas always have directors or creators of it, right? Atheists may deny that there is a God, but still, a creator may not necessarily be God. The creator of this simulation can be anything, from aliens to post-human civilizations, or another unimaginable consciousness. If reality is an illusion, then what are we? Are we fragments of consciousness, scattered across an endless dream? Or are we the dreamer itself, momentarily lost in its own creation? Anyone who recognizes this glitch might not be able to detach from it. That flicker, that eerie moment when reality seemed to glitch, what if it wasn't just your mind? What if it was the simulation breaking for a second? Maybe it was the truth trying to break through. And if that's the case, the question isn't just, is this all an illusion? The real question is, if this is an illusion, what happens when we are out of it? Is it the Christian notion of heaven and hell after death? Or is it what other religions call nirvana or enlightenment? This is something we will discuss in our next video. Philosophers and sages have said that understanding this illusion doesn't mean rejecting life. It means engaging with it without being bound by it. If you already know a dream is a dream, you can enjoy it much better while knowing that you are not limited by it. This illusion is not purposeless. The goal isn't to escape it, but to see through it and live with a deeper awareness that reality may not be what it seems. So, let me leave you with a question. If reality is shaped by your senses, are you shaping yourself or being shaped? And if you are being shaped, why? Thank you for watching, and if this made you question reality, let me know in the comments. Maybe we'll start seeing the glitches together. Until next time, stay curious and stay healthy.